Have you ever heard of a country in South America where hardly anyone speaks Spanish, the food tastes like Asia, the people look like they're from every corner of the world, and the jungle hides secrets older than time itself? Welcome to Suriname, the most forgotten country in South America. In this video, we are going deep into the heart of a nation that the world ignores, but shouldn't. You'll discover ancient rainforests untouched by civilization, colonial cities frozen in time, and a cultural fusion you won't believe exists in one place. We'll reveal the shocking history, the hidden beauty, and the mysterious stories that make Suriname one of the most unique countries on earth. So, if you think you know South America, think again. Stay with us until the very end, because the last part will leave you questioning why Suriname isn't already at the top of every traveler's bucket list. When most people think of South America, their minds wander to Brazil's Carnival, Argentina's Tango, or Peru's Machu Picchu. But almost no one mentions Suriname. It's as if this country, tucked quietly between Brazil, Guyana, and French Guiana, was erased from the world map. Suriname is South America's smallest nation, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in mystery. It's the only country in the region where Spanish is not spoken, and neither is Portuguese. Instead, you'll hear Dutch. Yes, Dutch, the language of the Netherlands, a leftover from its colonial past. And that's just the beginning. Suriname didn't fight for independence through revolution like most South American countries. In fact, it gained independence from the Netherlands as recently as 1975, just a few decades ago. Because of this, Suriname never quite fit into the typical Latin American identity. It remained isolated, culturally, politically, and economically. Major airlines didn't include it in their routes. International media rarely mentioned its name. And even now, most people couldn't point to it on a map. But maybe that's exactly what preserved it. While the rest of South America was rushing forward, building highways, attracting millions of tourists, and reshaping cities, Suriname stood still. Its capital, Paramaribo, still feels like a 19th century Dutch town dropped into a rainforest. Colonial wooden houses line quiet streets. Churches, synagogues, and mosques sit side by side in peaceful harmony. And outside the city, an endless sea of green, towering trees, untouched jungle, villages where electricity is still a luxury and life moves with the rhythm of the river. In many ways, Suriname feels frozen in time, but it's not because the people lack progress or ambition. It's because they chose to protect their heritage. They chose to keep their unique identity, a blend of African, Asian, European, and indigenous cultures, alive and untouched by mass globalization. In a world obsessed with fast trends, Suriname remains defiantly slow. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Suriname isn't the country you visit to check off tourist attractions. It's the country you visit to reconnect. With history, with nature, with what it means to live simply and authentically. So now, let's dive deeper into this forgotten nation. Because trust me, what's coming next will change the way you see South America forever. Imagine stepping into a European city. But the air is hot and humid, the birds sound like jungle spirits, and instead of brick buildings, you're surrounded by wooden houses painted in white and red. Cracked by time, but full of life. Welcome to Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname, and possibly the most unexpected city in all of South America. Here, you won't find skyscrapers or chaos. Instead, you'll walk down peaceful streets lined with colonial-era architecture, the kind of buildings you'd expect to see in Amsterdam, not in the middle of the Amazon basin. And yes, they were built by the Dutch. When the Netherlands controlled Suriname, Paramaribo became their tropical outpost. But over time, the city transformed into something completely unique. This is not Europe. This is Suriname, and Paramaribo is its heartbeat. Walk through the old town, and you'll see a cathedral made entirely of wood. It's the largest wooden structure in the Western Hemisphere. Just a few blocks away, a Hindu temple, and next to it a synagogue, and across the street, a mosque, one of the oldest in the Americas. This isn't a coincidence. It's a reflection of who lives here. Suriname is a country of many roots, African, Indian, Chinese, Indigenous, Dutch, Javanese, and nowhere is that more visible than in Paramaribo. Walk through the central market and you'll smell roti, fried bananas, Chinese dumplings, Dutch pastries, all blending into one wild, delicious perfume. Paramaribo is loud but peaceful, colorful but warm, alive but calm. It's a city where contradictions exist in perfect harmony, a place where you can sip Dutch beer under a mango tree while listening to Bollywood music echoing from a passing car. But beyond the charm, there's something deeper here. Paramaribo feels like a bridge between centuries. Modern cars pass by horse carts. Wi-Fi signals bounce between wooden walls built in the 1800s. Grandparents still speak Sranantongo, the local Creole language, while teenagers scroll TikTok in Dutch. It's a living museum, but not frozen. It breathes, it grows. It whispers stories to those willing to listen. You won't find fancy tours here. No double-decker buses or souvenir shops on every corner. But you will find people who welcome you like family. You'll find culture preserved not behind glass, but in every plate of food, every festival, every conversation. Paramaribo isn't a city that screams to be noticed. It waits quietly for the kind of traveler who values authenticity over aesthetics. So if you're looking for a place that's real, raw, layered, imperfect, but honest, Paramaribo might just be the most unforgettable stop you've never heard of. And we're only getting started. Imagine a country where 90% of the land is jungle, not forests near highways, not managed parks, but pure untouched rainforest, so dense, so remote that some parts have never seen a road or even a map. Welcome to Suriname, the greenest country in South America. This is not the Amazon you've seen in Brazil. This is Suriname's wild soul. Thick unbroken canopies stretch as far as the eye can see. Giant ceiba trees rise like towers above a living ocean of green. Rivers coil like silver snakes through valleys that barely anyone knows by name. Here nature doesn't whisper, it roars. The jungle is alive. In every sound, every shadow, every breeze, you hear howler monkeys echo in the distance. You spot flashes of color, parrots, toucans, butterflies the size of your palm. And when the rain comes, it doesn't fall, it explodes, drumming on the leaves like a symphony straight from the earth. But the most incredible part? This jungle is not empty. Far from it. Indigenous communities have lived here for centuries, in harmony with the forest. People like the Wayana, the Trio, and the Akurio, guardians of ancient knowledge, herbal medicine, and stories that are passed down not through books, but through ritual, fire, and song. They live in wooden houses, hunt with bows, speak languages that few outsiders understand. But their wisdom, it's irreplaceable. Then, there are the Maroons, descendants of enslaved Africans who escaped centuries ago and built free communities deep in the jungle. Their villages, often only accessible by boat or plane, are living testaments to resilience and self-determination. These aren't tourist shows. These are real lives, real cultures, thriving in the heart of nature. And getting there, that's part of the adventure. There are no highways to the interior. You'll need a canoe or a small propeller plane that lands on a strip of dirt between trees. There's no Wi-Fi, no cell towers, just the sound of the river, the breath of the forest, and the stars, more than you've ever seen in your life. The rainforest in Suriname is a place that changes you. It humbles you. You begin to realize how small we are, how disconnected we've become from the earth that sustained us. But here, in this jungle, the connection is still alive. Here, sustainability isn't a trend, it's survival, it's a way of life. This forest absorbs more carbon than the entire country produces. It is quite literally protecting the planet. While most of the world looks the other way. So while others clear land for farms, Suriname protects its trees. While others forget their roots, Suriname listens to its elders. While others build taller buildings, Suriname guards what cannot be rebuilt once lost. In this age of concrete and screens, the jungle of Suriname is a reminder of what the world once was, and what it still could be if we're brave enough to protect it. If you arrived in Paramaribo with no context, you might think you had just landed in a Dutch town, in the middle of the tropics. But then you see the palm trees, you feel the Caribbean sun, and you realize this isn't Europe. This is Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname, a city unlike any other in South America. Where else can you walk down a street lined with 18th century wooden houses, all painted white with red tiled roofs, and hear 5 languages being spoken at once? Paramaribo is a fusion: Dutch colonial history, Caribbean rhythm, African roots, Asian migration, indigenous soul, all layered into one vibrant, chaotic, colorful mosaic. You can taste it in the food, a spicy blend of Javanese, Indian, Creole, and Dutch. You can hear it in the music, Kaseko drums pounding through the streets during a celebration. And you can see it, most of all, in the faces of the people. Paramaribo doesn't hide its diversity, it celebrates it. The city is a living museum, and its centerpiece is the historic inner city, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Here, time feels paused. Walk past Fort Zeelandia, where Dutch colonists first landed in the 1600s. Step into St. Peter and Paul Cathedral, the largest wooden cathedral in the Western Hemisphere. Gaze at the presidential palace across from Independence Square, where political power meets colonial architecture. But Paramaribo isn't just history in stone. It's alive. It's kids playing football in narrow streets. It's open-air markets where women sell spices, fruits, and handmade crafts. It's the scent of roadie drifting through neighborhoods filled with laughter. And yes, it's a city with its contradictions. Colonial mansions next to crumbling sidewalks, lively culture coexisting with political tension, a riverfront begging for restoration, and people full of ideas for what it could become. But that's what makes Paramaribo so real. It hasn't been overpolished for tourists. It hasn't become a theme park. It's still for the people who live there. And for the traveler who wants to feel a place, not just see it. Paramaribo delivers, because it's not just a city, it's a story. A crossroads of worlds, African, Asian, European, indigenous, that collided here and built something entirely new. Not always peacefully, not without scars, but undeniably unique. Paramaribo is a reminder that even the smallest countries hold multitudes. That even in the most unexpected corners of the world, history breathes, beauty lingers, and culture thrives. Deep within the lush, tangled rainforests of Suriname, far from roads, cities, and the modern world, there are villages that were never meant to exist. Villages built in resistance, built by survivors, by the enslaved Africans who centuries ago broke free from Dutch plantations and disappeared into the jungle, never to return. They weren't supposed to survive, but they did, and not just survive. They thrived. These are the Maroon communities, descendants of warriors who defied slavery and created hidden worlds in the heart of the Amazon. They built homes from palm and thatch, learned the secrets of the forest, and passed down traditions that still echo in the drums, dances, and rituals performed today. In these villages like New Aurora, Ladouani, and Pick and Slay, life moves to a different rhythm. There are no highways here, no skyscrapers, no chain stores, just rivers that serve as roads, canoes that serve as buses. Nature is everywhere, not as a backdrop, but as a companion. And what you discover is a way of life where people live with the land, not against it. They fish from the river, harvest cassava from the earth, use medicinal plants known only to them. And when night falls, the stars shine brighter than you've ever seen. But these aren't communities stuck in the past. They're evolving on their own terms. In some villages, you'll find solar panels next to hand-woven huts, cell phones powered by the sun. Young people learning both the ancient ways and how to navigate the modern world. They are proud, fiercely proud, because every tradition, every carved drum, every chant, every story whispered around the fire is an act of preservation, of rebellion, of memory. Maroon culture in Suriname isn't folklore for tourists. It's alive. And it matters. And if you're lucky enough to be invited in, with respect, humility, and open eyes, you won't just learn about a people who escaped slavery. You'll meet people who rewrote their destiny, who built freedom where no one expected it, who transformed jungle into sanctuary, and who still remind the world that even in the darkest chapters of history, resistance takes root and blooms. Welcome to Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname, and one of the most unexpected cities in all of South America. From the moment you set foot on its streets, you realize this place is different, really different. White wooden houses with red-tiled roofs line the avenues like a Caribbean postcard from another era. Dutch colonial architecture, yes, in South America. Mosques and synagogues standing side by side, not just peacefully, but in harmony. Christian churches chiming next to Hindu temples, languages swirling in the air. Dutch, Sernantongo, Hindi, Javanese, English, and people of every shade, culture, and origin, walking together, eating together, building lives together. Paramaribo is not a melting pot, it's a mosaic, a living, breathing patchwork of Suriname's complex history, shaped by colonization, migration, and resistance. Here, you'll find reminders of the Dutch Empire, grand old buildings like the Presidential Palace and Fort Zeelandia, where history lingers in every brick. But you'll also find Indonesian warungs serving spicy nasi goreng, Indian roadie shops with the aroma of turmeric and coriander in the air, and Creole markets alive with rhythm, color, and conversation. Walk the water can, the riverside promenade, where locals gather under ancient trees, watch cargo boats drift by and sip sweet black coffee. Explore the central market, where Maroon villagers sell handmade crafts and the fishmongers shout in Suriname like poetry. Stop by the Mosque Keizersstraat, one of the largest in the Caribbean region, and just steps away, you'll find the Neva Shalom Synagogue. This isn't just tolerance, it's coexistence, it's identity, and it's real. Paramaribo shows you that a capital city doesn't have to be a place of power or concrete. It can be a place of soul, of contradictions that make sense, of stories that didn't end. They evolved, of colonized becoming creators. Suriname's history wasn't not gentle, but its capital is a symbol of something rare in our world. Diversity without division, culture without erasure, and unity, born not from sameness but from difference. Spend a day in Paramaribo and you'll leave with more than photos. You'll carry the memory of voices blending, spices mingling, beliefs sharing space, and the quiet realization that perhaps the future of peaceful coexistence looks a little like this.